Chapter 11, Nyx and Freya. The lab was silent after it happened. Nyx had moved not in a scripted sequence, not in a programmed routine, but with intent. With life. The way she had looked at Crow, as if seeing him not just as her creator, but as someone she knew, had turned the entire room to stillness. The professors exchanged a glance that was equal parts wonder and alarm. Artem was the first to break the silence. That wasn't supposed to be possible. Ilya exhaled slowly, rubbing his temple. It shouldn't be. There's no structure in her core model for autonomous awareness. Not at that level. She shouldn't be able to initiate contact. She didn't just initiate it, Artem murmured. She recognized him. Students stood still, whispering behind their hands, uncertain whether to believe their eyes or write it off as a trick of calibration. One of them tried to take a recording, but Ilya, without looking, flicked a counterpulse from his ring and fuzzed the device instantly. "This doesn't leave the lab," he said quietly. Artem nodded, catching Crow's eye. "We'll mark it as a successful first motion. A breakthrough in expression mimicry. We've got the companion licensing board on our side already. If anyone asks, she passed her bond tests early, and Crow's helping us with a field trial." Crow understood immediately. They weren't going to stop him, but they weren't going to let the world know the truth, either. Not yet. Not until they understood it. Nyx's eyes followed him as he gently extended a hand. She took it with such subtle grace that some students stepped back. "Good," Artem said. "Take her. Let her learn quietly. Bring her back to the lab for calibration, but she's yours now." And just like that, it was done. The veil was thin, but secure. The companion golem company offered the perfect cover. Crow could take her home. Raise her away from prying eyes. And when needed, he could bring her back to the lab, work beside her under the watch of professors who, while stunned, had no better option than silence. Nyx adjusted quickly to life outside the lab. She moved through Crow's small house with curiosity, touching the edges of furniture, tracing the patterns in curtains, asking questions about light, color, and the sound of the rain on the roof. His mother, Lisa, watched Nyx with a quiet, but kind eye. She didn't understand the depth of what Nyx was, but she had seen her son come home with haunted eyes far too many times. If this strange, brilliant girl brought light back to them, she would not question the blessing. Her joints ached too much to fight the world anymore. Her second husband had passed years ago, and her daughter had long since run off into her own life, chasing distant careers and broader skies, rarely writing. It was Crow who stayed, who worked, who held the home together through his silence and persistence. Lisa smiled as she sat in her woven chair by the hearth, watching Nyx help chop vegetables not for food she needed, but because she insisted on participating in the home. "She learns fast," Lisa said softly, sipping her tea. Crow looked up from the book he was annotating. "She wants to understand why things matter. Not just how they work." Nyx glanced up. "Feelings are confusing. But they're full of information." Lisa laughed. "You sound like Crow when he was little." Each day, Crow taught Nyx something new: how to read feeling in music, how to smell the storm in the air before it came, how to cook simple meals not because she needed to eat, but because she wanted to understand the experience of it. The world was not a code to her. It was a living story, and she was learning the words one page at a time. She laughed, sometimes. Crow wasn't sure how she had learned to do that, but she had. One afternoon, while they sat across from each other, playing a strategy board game, Nyx paused, touching the little carved dragon piece she favored. "This one always wins," she said, tapping its bright orange body. "Even when I make a mistake." "Because you favor it," Crow smiled. Nyx tilted her head. "It reminds me of something. I don't know what." A few days later, Crow wandered through the market in the lower city. The lanes bustled with murmuring voices, spice smoke curling through air thick with midsummer haze. Vendors called out from stalls offering trinkets, minor enchantments, food on skewers, and handmade charms. He wasn't looking for anything. Then he saw it. A stall draped in cracked silk and aged banners displayed magical familiars, small, elemental creatures bred for companionship. In one open crate lay a curled creature, the size of a bread loaf, limbs tucked beneath an orange-scaled body, delicate wings twitching with static. Tiny sparks clicked across the ridges of its spine. An orange thunder dragon. It looked almost identical to the game piece Nyx always favored. "She's got fire," the vendor said with a smile, sensing Crow's interest. "Not too wild, more spark than storm. But she's a bright one." Rare temperament for a thunderkin. How much? Crow asked, already pulling coins from his pouch. Nyx was waiting at the window when he returned, her eyes lighting up the moment she saw the box. What is it? She asked, walking with quick, precise steps to meet him. Something that reminded me of someone. He knelt down and opened the crate. The thunder dragon blinked up at Nyx with bright, curious eyes and let out a chirping crackle of static. Nyx inhaled softly, kneeling down to meet its gaze. It's like the one from the game. I know. Nyx slowly reached out, and the little dragon stepped into her arms without hesitation, curling around her forearm, like a living bracelet of sparks and scales. Crow watched as Nyx's face transformed into something he hadn't seen before, a raw, gentle awe. I'll call her Freya, Nyx whispered. That's a good name, Crow said, smiling. She's yours. Nyx looked up at him. Thank you. For seeing me. From behind them, Lisa smiled warmly and turned back to her knitting. You're doing good, son. Crow knelt beside Nyx and gently brushed her hair behind her ear. I always saw you, he whispered. I just had to give the world time to catch up.